what are client notes? It's a space for us to have internal documentation, a space for notes that are associated with that client. So it is at the client level. You can have multiple notes per client, so it can have a similar feel to having multiple Google Docs or multiple pages in a Notion or that kind of thing, where you've got multiple entries that you can sort through, that you can search through, and all of that. So it's just a place for multiple entries, again, specific to that unique client. And some tidbits or fun facts about them is that they're visible to all team members with that client access. They are not visible to the actual client. So these are all internal. They do have time-stamped note history, so you can see if and when it was updated. And my favorite piece of it is the fact that it's rich text formatting. You can do a lot in there to break up the text. It's not just plain black and white, small type. You can do screenshots, emojis, hyperlinks, all sorts of things in there to be able to capture the information you need and have it in a way that makes it easy to read and go back to review as needed. So where are these lovely client notes? You're going to find them again on the client page. You're going to go to that info tab. It'll overlay on your screen the client info, which is where your properties are, the option for details, and then your notes is that third tab. And that info button is accessible no matter where you are on the close page. So it stays pinned at the very top there. You can always access it. Some common uses. Go for it, Erica.
Beautiful. So, we'll get into some more creative examples because this is one that you can take and run with as much as you want. But sometimes with a feature like this, you're like, okay, cool, love the concept, but like, what do I use this for? So, really commonly, we've seen this used as like a call agenda, whether you're prepping or you're taking notes on action items that you need to do after that meeting. We can do client specific SOPs, especially because we can do screenshots and emojis and things like that. So we can go in there and have these be our SOPs. And then we can even have month end, like ongoing log of issues if we want to do something like that and have that here in Keeper without having to go navigate to another platform to find those.
Let's take a look at what those might look like. So this is a screen grab of client notes. So you can see here that it's got all the rich text formatting available to you. You can break it up and make that easy to read. So this is an example of someone using it for like call agenda notes for specific calls.
Yep, exactly. And this next one is where I get the most excited, which really shows my nerdy side here. But I really love, and we've kind of expanded to be like, hey, this can actually be a client specific SOP. So we can put purpose of the task, we can put who's responsible, we can add videos if we want to, because we can hyperlink anything. We can do our step by step, and we can even have FAQs at the bottom. So this is a cool space to have that option within Keeper, especially because we can set up that baseline in a template like we're going to talk about here in a minute. So this doesn't have to be starting from scratch every time.
Yeah. Or copying from another client and then forgetting to update a specific piece.
Oh, good gosh. How many times have I done that? Way too many to count. And then somebody gets confused because they're like, this step doesn't make sense here with this client. So take
Yeah.
some of that like admin nightmare out of the way here.
Yeah.
And then just kind of a quick and dirty example here that like we can even do things like an ongoing log of issues that we found. So we can take and expand this and do a formalized handoff every month, or we can just have it be a quick spot for notes of issues that came up, or hey, I was all good, nothing happened this month, just to keep a record of some of those things.
Yeah, we've seen some firms who like to have that at a glance, being able to look back at the historical, how did things go, and start to, as a way to look for trends, see if there's any patterns emerging.
Exactly. And if we do something like this, it kind of, there are pros and cons to using something like the description of a task or a comment on a task. Sometimes that's hard to go back and look at month over month. So having something like this, like Jody said, just gives you that glance where if you're doing your let's say you do a quarterly or yearly review of this client, of this file, and how's everything going, we have one spot to go look at these, and instead of having to hunt through previous tasks to find any trends. And hopefully we found them all, and didn't miss any.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a cool at a glance option. Now, one question we've gotten a lot is like, what's the difference between client details and client notes? So, details can be shown on the page as like a sticky note up on the top. This is in your settings where it lives here, it lives in the info tab, info button all the time, but we can choose to show it at the top of the page. So, this is one single note, can be pinned to the top of the page, and allows us to still do rich text formatting. We can still do hyperlinks, we can still do things like that,
Mhm.
but it's just kind of a quick at the top of the page, one single document or one single note, whereas client notes cannot be pinned at this time, but we can have multiple entries. So it gives us that like Google Doc feel where we have everything organized, we can kind of go through. These are text searchable, which is really cool because then I can search that keyword and not have to go think about what note that should be in and which call was that on. Was it February or January? I can have that and search something. I can also sort. So if I want to sort it by a specific title or the date and go backwards so I can look at old notes first, I absolutely can. Two other really cool things about client notes is that we have a history. So we'll kind of open this up when we get to the demo section, but on each individual note, you have a time-stamped log of changes that were made, edits that were made, and you can click those open to see the note at that time, which is really cool if somebody accidentally goes in and deletes a section, or you want to see what updates have been made over time. We have that and can go back to something if something gets a little bit wonky. Now, the newest update and the reason that we're even talking about this today is that we now have templates that make it easier to use this across the board. So Jody, I'm going to have you walk through like creating
Yeah.
a template while this GIF is going. Or GIF.
Yeah.
Don't come for me about if you say that differently. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's on repeat here. So like you can see it, it clicks on templates at the top. This opens up that template manager over top of whatever screen you're on. So any screen, whether you're here at the client list page, your dashboard, or if you're on your firm tasks or in a client page, you can access the template manager. It'll overlay on top of the page that you're on, and you'll see that there's multiple tabs across the top. So we do have a notes section now available for that. And just like with many of our templates, you can add new ones, you can edit ones that are currently in here. And then when you are in the client, or on your firm task, if you're in there and you go to your notes section, you click on to add a note, there is a space here for you to select one of those templates that you created. So then again, you can have that set up to where you just click on it, update the key pieces that you need to update, and you can have consistency across the board there. And one little fun fact before we go into our demo is that you can paste tables if you want to. So if you have something where it's going to be easier for you to update in a chart format, you can format that chart or that table in a different space. So that could be like Google Docs, Excel, any of those types of things. Format your table the way you want it to be. Copy it. You can paste it in here. This is not a perfect thing, but it is possible. So it can be one where it could get a little finicky because it's not inherently designed to create the tables, but it will hold them if you paste them in there.
Yeah, exactly. So this is one of those that we found just because we were like, you've got to be able to do this, right? Like it's not on the bar up top, but like I should be able to do this, right? So super transparent. It is not built in, which means that there's no easy, like, add a column to the right, options, things like that. You want to get it set up in a different software that allows you to do that easier, quicker, in a beautiful way, get everything the way that you want. We're going to paste it in, and there may be a couple of extra spaces in there, extra lines of space. So we want to be mindful. This is not like, hey, you can natively create tables in the same way. Like, no, 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 no. It is possible though, and it is pretty cool to know that you can do that. So just take that with a grain of salt. Don't expect it
Yes.
to be an easy, like beautiful, masterful process, but it is possible if we're willing to get a little bit creative and spend an extra 30 seconds doing a little bit of formatting.
Yeah. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the demo, and we will walk through some different areas.
Yeah, we're going to walk through these live just so you can see in the account what these all look like. Now, again, just quick reminder, if you start having questions about this as we're going through, or you need us to go back through something, let us know in the chat. And then if you have any questions that are bubbling up about other areas, start to throw those in so that when we get through the demo, we know where to go next. So
Yes. And
go for it,
everything's
Josie.
fair game. Yeah, everything's fair game question wise. So just let us know what you're curious about. All right, so as we mentioned, you've got the info button up here at the top. We also quickly mentioned about client details being pinned to the top. So we do in our demo account have it up here available. It is something that can collapse down and then you can expand it. Click on it to open it to see more, or add more details to this. Again, as Erica mentioned, it's just one space. Save that to be able to have those updates save here. But your notes, you can come up to info, go to the notes tab, and then here's where you can find all of those. So if I were to add a new one, I can select a template and I can update that as needed. Um, Label it whatever I need to for that month, and then save that, and it's going to add it in there for me. Let's see. So if I go to open a different one, you can see one that has been created before. This is a notes history that Erica was mentioning, that it'll show you what it was, and you can click on it to see what the note was at that time. So it does have that nice timestamp. She did a lot of work
Exactly.
in the beginning of June.
I was definitely
Lots of
tinkering, I
saves.
can tell. Um, one of the things that's really cool with this, or one thing to note, and one thing that's really cool. So, one thing to note, make sure you hit save. Half
Yes.
of those edits were not captured because I did not hit save. So, save yourself the trouble. This is not an area that auto saves in Keeper. So, please, for the love of all your time that you're spending in here, click save on that guy. Um, on the other side, if somebody goes in, and I know that because this is visible to all team members, some of us are worried about like, oh my gosh, well, what if you like accidentally mess up something? Um, so that means that note history is there to kind of be a backup and a safety net. So if I need to go back a couple versions, I absolutely can, which is pretty cool to just like see what was actually on the page in case somebody has an oopsie. So quick reminder to save. And also,
Yes.
if you saved over something that you want to go back to, that note history is going to be your friend there.
And one thing with the details, so we were talking about the comparison between the two. Details does not have that history button. So we don't have that captured. And it's also a place where you got to hit that save button or it won't. If you just click off of it, it's just gonna revert back to whatever it was the last time you hit save. So just key things to keep in mind there. Do you want me to highlight the firm tasks, Erica, next before we move on to anything else?
Yeah, go ahead. And go to firm, and then I've got a couple of like quick notes on other examples.
So one thing we wanted to point out is, if you are familiar with the firm task area, you may or may not have been playing in it, but this one also has a notes section. So just like our clients have a note section, our firm task area also has notes. And in here, you can also access all of those notes templates. So this would be a space where you could have things that are firm wide or that would be across multiple clients and it isn't necessarily specific to one client and needs to live with that one client. This is a great place that can be housing all sorts of information for you and your firm.
Yeah, and this is just one that we wanted to highlight. I honestly found this morning because a lot of us have used kind of a hack or a workaround to, if you go off of that actually, Jody, and open up the firm best practices, a lot of us were using this area to kind of house SOPs and notes, but it wasn't perfect. It was just kind of a safe dumping ground to be able to reference, like, if you wanted to add a checklist on account reconciliation, but it makes that task way too long when you open it up. Some of us were doing a trick like this to go add that SOP over here instead. So you still words. You can still
Mhm.
do that, but you can also house that in notes and kind of train your team. Hey, if you have a general, I'm learning the practice, this is not client specific, but it's like a general process that we do. Come over here and look for that first. And then if there's any client specific SOPs, we can kind of notate that. So just a really cool place, especially now that you can use those templates in there. Just know that this is also possible on the firm side if you want to keep notes that are not associated with a specific client or are more
Mhm.
general.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Did want to go ahead and do a quick mention of a couple of other uses that we've seen just to let you kind of like play with the idea and get comfortable with it. And then we'll shift over to a couple of questions. So, um, I have also started to see this used for diagnostic reviews, which is really
Mhm.
cool. Because a lot of us are starting to play with this. It is not a CRM. I'm going to be very careful how I talk about it. But a lot of us are using it to keep track of leads and prospects that we may convert into a client or do a paid diagnostic or a paid cleanup for or something like that. So if we're using it in that, we can absolutely create a little bit of a diagnostic guide, especially using those tables to be like, hey, check this area. What did you find? Hey, check this area. That also means if they do convert into a client, you have those original records. And when you start that cleanup, you have those original records instead of
Mhm.
having to go to another system. So if you are not already using a CRM for that, this is a space that you can kind of play with and hack for that. I've also seen this be used for kickoff call notes. So if you are one that does a kickoff call, either using it and creating a template that has your agenda, because it's going to be pretty similar client by client, general process, and then we may want to tweak it. That can absolutely be used for something like that to give yourself a baseline. We talked about for client calls as they're ongoing, but onboarding is one of those that we have a lot to cover in that call if that's the modality that we're doing to like welcome our clients. So having that be your agenda and then having space for notes at the bottom is another really good idea if you don't have a space for that already.
We are all about supporting the community and your journey using Keeper. Learning it, there's so much to it. And we see people use it in a wide variety of ways. Some use it for just a very specific quality control or month end or just for 1099s. Like some people use it for very specific, and then it runs the gamut. And there's the other side of that where people use it for just about everything they possibly can. So it's a giant sandbox, and you can kind of take what you want, use it how you want to use it. But we have resources to meet you wherever you are. We do these monthly Q&As on the third Wednesday every month. We have additional resources on our website, hughesandstrong.com/keeper. And then the old recordings of our Q&As are on our YouTube channel for you to go back through and look at some of the other features that we've highlighted there. We're very excited to announce that we have new community templates that have been uploaded in Keeper. So I can show you where this lives, but in the template manager, you have a space or a button that you can hit for community templates. And we now have these three available. It's a weekly bookkeeping tasks, a task for keeper receipts, and advisory meetings as well. Just kind of a variety in there. But we also with it have resources for how to use them and how to customize them, which is also on our YouTube channel. And they're all linked in here. You can see that you can access those YouTube links for that specific template to help you use it if you wish. Anything else to note there, Erica?
I don't think so. These just as a I say I don't think so and then I'm going to say something else. So, I guess the answer is yes. Uh quick blurb on these. These are pretty basic just to give you a kind of rough idea and concept to allow you to build out your own SOPs, or you can watch the videos on how kind of some inspo for how we've built these out or different options if you're like, oh, these are cool, but I don't know where to go from here. So those videos will show where to get to them, how to edit them, and then how to apply them across your clients. So that should be pretty fun, especially if you're using any Keeper receipts or you're trying to figure out how to house more things like task management, advisory meetings, your weekly things inside of Keeper on top of month end should give you a little bit of fun inspo. So I guess that's all I have to say
Yeah.
about
Great.
that.
We're very excited about that resource being available now. Additional support that we offer, again, we offer a huge spectrum of support. We meet you where you are. If that means that you guys just need a little bit of training on Keeper and how to use it, or if you've been trying to play around with it, but you're just not sure if you're optimizing it or you're not reaching the goals that you were hoping to have, we also do diagnostic reviews and can give you feedback and guidance or tips on, hey, these are things that you might be able to do to reach that goal that you're trying to do. We take on mini projects to take some of that workload off your plate. We do guided support to help you set up your own Keeper account. And then we do the full hands on, hey, I don't want to touch it. Please just set it up for me. We offer that as well. So, huge spectrum of services that we offer and provide. Again, we just like to meet you where you are and give you the support that you need.
Yeah, we've been in different phases of our own business where we needed just the freebies or we needed somebody to do it all together or somewhere in between. So, really excited to be able to offer that within the community. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.